It is a lovely Wednesday morning here in the city of Lagos, Nigeria, the very first of the month of February. And so on that note, I welcome you to iBrand Daybreak. It promises to be exciting as always as we take you through the newspaper headlines amongst other things we have for you. I'm Samson Oloide, and I'm not doing this alone. I've got the delectable and gorgeous
Perpetual Fashion Repeater. Good morning and welcome to iBrand Daybreak. I already told you my name, but I have a feeling you missed it.
So you can always take that again.
Okay, I am Perpetual Fashion Repeater, and my colleague already welcomed you to the show.
Okay, so talking about the show of the flow, what we've got in stock, you want to run us through that?
Oh yes, we have the news update, after which we'll take you through stories making rounds on the national dailies today. And then we have a discussion, an interesting one on the discussion segment today, then sports, yes, then social media buzz. And then we wrap up with a quote. I think you want to start with the news update?
Okay, we'll start with news update, talking about information coming from the world of news when it comes to both the national scene and the international scene. But that'll be after this very short break. Please to stay tuned.
Glad to know you're still with us. Now we'll take you through stories making the rounds. President Muhammadu Buhari has again reassured Nigerians that his administration will bequeath a stable democracy, revamped military at the expiration of his tenure on May 29 next year. The president said this on Tuesday at a dinner in honor of the 2022 Committee of Business, Political, Media and Civil Society Leaders held at the State House. He said he's looking forward to completing his tenure in 2023, leaving a legacy for a united, peaceful and prosperous Nigeria with 24 years of uninterrupted democracy. Assuring Nigerians that his administration will finish strong in the last lap of his tenure, the president said, quote, "I am gradually entering my final year in office. It is a period I intend to spend not only on consolidating on the achievements of the past 7 years, but also to leave a legacy for a united, peaceful and prosperous Nigeria," end of quote.
And still talking national matters, Nigeria missed its crude oil output target for January 2022, pumping 1.46 million barrels per day against the target of 1.683 million barrels per day as approved by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Officials of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited said the country's continued inability to meet its output target had caused the repeated plunge in oil earnings, leading to the monthly drop in the NNPC's remittances to the Federation account. They, however, attributed Nigeria's inability to meet its OPEC production quota to the spate of oil pipelines vandalism, delay in the full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, among others. Meanwhile, industry figures seen on Tuesday showed that the cost of Brent, the crude against which Nigeria's oil is priced, dropped marginally by $0.78 or 0.87% to $88 per barrel as at 4 p.m. Nigerian time.
The African Union has suspended Burkina Faso from all its activities in response to last week's military coup, effective until constitutional order is restored, the AU said on Monday. Burkina Faso had already been suspended from the West African Regional Bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, though ECOWAS stopped short of imposing sanctions after the January 24 coup that deposed President Roch Kabore. An ECOWAS delegation on Monday met with Kabore and found him in good spirits. The delegation also met with the coup leaders, including the new head of state, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba, to discuss security and the political transition.
And on the international scene, at least 23 people have died after heavy rainfall triggered a landslide on Monday in Quito, Ecuador, authorities said. Quito's Mayor Santiago Guarderas told reporters on Tuesday that 47 people were injured, including 2 that were left in critical condition as a result of the disaster. Authorities have warned the death toll could rise as workers continue to remove debris, the mayor added. The storm that triggered the landslide dropped the equivalent of 75 liters per square meter, marking the largest amount of rainfall the capital has seen in almost 2 decades, according to the mayor. Guadares said a similar volume of rainfall had last been recorded in the capital in 2003. And that's how much we can take regards news updates right about now. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at the major headlines making our national dailies. Please do stay tuned.
All right, thank you for staying with us. And now we're moving to the newspaper headlines. I'll start with the Guardian paper, and the banner story here reads, El Rufai seeks help as bandits kill 1,192, kidnap 3,348 in Kaduna. There are writers to the story, the first being 9 persons kidnapped daily in 2021. Another one says, Northwest needs a military theater command to tackle banditry, says governor. And we have Khan calls for El Rufai's resignation, says report self-indicting. Now, that's a serious one on the Guardian paper. Moving away from that story, ignore governor's pressure, sign electoral act now. PDP lawmakers urge Buhari. You find that story on page 2 of the Guardian paper. We have police rescue 113 teens from illegal rehabilitation home. NAB operators. That's on page 29. Falana warns of more coups in West Africa as the heavy gunfire rocks government palace in Guinea-Bissau. That's on page 3. I think I'll take that again. Falana warns of more coups in West Africa as heavy gunfire rocks government palace in Guinea-Bissau. And that's on page 3. On page 4, we have Buhari moves against AIDS, HIV, with 62.1 billion naira trust fund. And on page 7, we have Igbo presidency will end agitations, ensure peace, says Ohaneze. And we also have Ngobodo adding to that. And finally, on the Guardian paper this morning, gunmen kill ex-administrator, abduct over 50 persons in Kaduna, Katsina. That story is on page 29 of the Guardian paper for today.
Moving on now to the Nation newspaper, the headline here reads, Wike speaking, North can't stop South from getting PDP tickets. And you have the writer Clark, Buhari's successor should come from South. You also have out-end banditry killings by El Rufai, the governor of Kaduna, speaking. You have forex turnover at official window dropped from $4.4 billion to $2.18 billion. And on the earpiece of the paper, you have dismissal of suits. It clears way for Balogun as Olubadan. That you can find on page 27. You also have the story, 50,000 barrels of crude lost to oil thieves daily. And that's Illume. There's a writer there saying by Illumelu who says $4 billion wasted, and that's on page 7. You also have MTN's Nigeria's offer oversubscribed by 38 billion naira. That's on page 7. While you have gunmen kidnapped 10 farmers in Ondo, 5 in Ekiti. You can find that on page 3. To the bottom piece of the paper, autumn orders probe into Obasanjo farm fire, attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau. Those stories are on page 7 and 27 respectively.
All right, moving down to the Punch paper this morning, the banner headline being Marketers Labour Won as federal government pushes refineries repairs to Buhari's successor. And we have to write as to the story, no subsidy removal until refineries are working on the next government. And that's coming from the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, that's Silva. We have another rider here, without repairing refineries, fuel price hike imminent, say marketers fault policies. Okay, moving away from that story, 6.6 million Nigerians become MTN shareholders. Telco rakes in 111.75 billion naira. That's on page 19. And another one, Buhari mandates Gambari Ngige Adamu to resolve ASU crisis, begs lecturers. Wicked dodges questions on presidential ambition, says window still open. That's on page 12. And another one on page 17 says oil revenue plunges as Nigeria misses January OPEC quota. Away from that, convicted Maina's 2.7 billion naira fraud approved by Oronsaye, says EFCC. That's on page 11. And still on page 11, we have 22,000 mother-to-child HIV transmission recorded yearly. That's coming from NACA. And checking out more stories on this paper, we have Professor awarded son at 90 dies in UCH at 91. Okay, that's on page 9. And then we have Kaduna lists 1,192 killed in 2021. El-Rufai insists terrorists must die. Obasanjo fumes over fire in Benue farm. Autumn orders probe. Another story says reps recommend 390 million naira compensation for customs killings in Oyo, Katsina. And then we have kidnap epidemic. That's just the right word because it is at an alarming rate. Kidnap epidemic. Gunmen abduct ex-LG chair, 4 others in Ekiti. That story you'll find on page 4. And then we have the final story in the Punch paper this morning that reads, U.S. resumes no interview process for Nigerians seeking visa renewal. That's also on page 6.
And the final paper we'll be reviewing is Business Day, where the headline reads, Africa's economic rebound from pandemic lies in trade and investment. And you have a rider there. Oh, sorry, you have how zoning may disrupt 2023 electoral process. You also have MTN Nigeria public offer oversubscribed by 139.47%. And you have FMDQ becomes full member of World Federation of Exchanges. And that's the major headlines making the rounds right about now, talking about today's dailies. And Pep, the headline for The Guardian is extremely worrisome.
Okay.
Talking about the number of people that were kidnapped in Kaduna with the governor crying for help, it's in thousands. How did it get to this point? Thousands. No, it's no longer in tens or hundreds. It's now in thousands. That's extremely worrisome.
Let's say that's even what was captured or what we could capture. We know very well that to a very large extent when it comes to figures, we don't always have
unrecorded numbers.
Yeah, we have numbers that are not recorded. It's really alarming. It's worrisome. And it bothers me because we hear stories of killings, maimings, beheadings, all these things every morning, every day. And then I'm asking, what has happened to humanity? What exactly do we want? Okay, bandits, what exactly is your philosophy? I don't get it.
You shouldn't refer to them as bandits.
They're terrorists. Just to differentiate, so we know we're not talking about Boko Haram. We're not talking about...
No, Boko Haram terrorists, bandits terrorists.
Okay. Look at where we are. Look at where we are. It's so unfortunate. I can't wrap my head around what is happening. I need answers. What exactly is happening? What do they want?
But my concern is how do terrorists, capture thousands? We understand quite well the expanse of land in the
over
north.
there, yeah.
So it could be it may be difficult to have security checkpoints at every turn and twist of the state. It's quite understandable, but when you have thousands kidnapped, killed, it becomes worrisome. Be it in a day, in terms of a single operation, or over the span of probably 2-3 months, it still raises, huge concern. And for the governor to cry out, it means that he's overwhelmed. and you expect that federal troops should, sweep in and provide some sort of assistance to the policemen whose job is to protect the people on land, especially internally. So at this point, it's not just Kaduna. We know the northern state as well, but Kaduna now, thousands. Where do they go from here? Do we have to, like, we can't really declare a state of emergency in that regard, but at what point do federal troops have to sweep in, maybe Operation Crocodile Tears or whatever we've seen, take place in other parts of the country? At what point?
We have these operations going on concurrently everywhere. But my question is there something wrong with our tactics? Is there something wrong with the way we deploy our men to the field? What exactly is the problem? Is the problem information? If that is the problem, let's find out. Let's know what the challenge really is. If whatever the problem is, we need to address these issues. We can't keep counting numbers. These are human beings.
Exactly. The unfortunate thing is certain people in certain positions are benefiting from this status quo.
How do you even benefit from things like this? That is inhuman. That is barbaric. That is demonic.
You're coming from the human aspect. There's the place of greed. There's the place of selfish interest. There's the place
and who are these people? Why can't we fish these people out? Is it difficult?
Well,
are there people in authority who have the powers to act or the power to act, and they are not doing what they are supposed to do?
Well, if you go by precedence, you would want to agree that there are people in authorities who should act but also benefiting from it. The saga of Honorable Off Your Mic was just yesterday, so to speak. And that was a sitting minister calling out sitting, legislators, at not just at state level, but the federal lawmakers, at federal level. So when it comes to are there people benefiting from it? Absolutely.
Then let the authority go after these people. We shouldn't just sit and fold our hands. What sort of agreements do we have with these people that we cannot go after them? Are they too powerful than government? Are they too powerful than our laws? Or is it that our laws are don't work?
The state of the nation. It's quite unfortunate, but we just hope that peace and security reigns supreme in Nigeria, especially the northern parts of the country where our brothers and sisters are having, security challenges virtually, at every hour of the day. We really hope that there's solace and, comfort to all those who are affected by these various, security challenges. We'll go on a break right now. When we return, we'll delve into a discussion of the day, and we have a guest standing by. Please do stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still iBrand Daybreak. Now, the Senate on Tuesday passed the Civil Aviation Bill 2022, which seeks to repeal the Civil Aviation Act 2006. The passage of the bill followed the consideration of a report by the Committee of Aviation. The chairman of the committee, Senator Smart Adeyemi, in his presentation said the aim of the bill was to provide an effective legal and institutional framework for the regulation of civil aviation in Nigeria to conform with the standards and recommended practices set by the International Civil Aviation Organization. He added that the piece of legislation would, among others, establish rules of operation, divisions of responsibility within the Nigerian civil aviation system in order to promote aviation safety. He also said the bill would ensure that Nigerians' obligations under international aviation agreements are implemented and consolidated. Now, to make sense of this with us is Dr. Dayo Adedayo, who is Dr. Kayode, I beg your pardon, Adedayo, who is here with us, is an aviation expert. The bill. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to this
Conversation.
particular conversation. I say particular conversation because it's my field. And you know, when you're bringing in a pastor, the pastor will bring the Bible. Yeah, it's Aviation Bible.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, what I worked on in my PhD thesis, Safety and Distress Response System in Nigeria's international airports. And interestingly, there are areas there that has to do with international accepted and recommended practices as regards safety, and then which also has to do with acts, these aviation acts, aviation policies, and all that. Actually, when I read the news about this yesterday, because I've not really gone through the real bill itself, but at least they were talking about obligations and responsibilities within the industry. To a very large extent, a lot of Nigerian civil aviation regulations, a lot of reforms have been passed, have been assented to since the beginning of aviation industry in Nigeria. But not to take your time, we look at this present one. It's coming out from where?
The Civil Aviation Act of 2006.
2006. And are you also aware that there have been a reform in 2009 and 2015? There have been. And I'm sure Smart Adeyemi Senator will have been aware of that. Now, in the area of regulation and responsibility, yes, it's good. Because along the line, there are acts that are created. Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, formerly known as Nigerian Airport Authority, and that of Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, formerly known as Federal Civil Aviation Authority. And that of 2009, the reform that NCAA did in 2009, they were being asked to do it actually by the National Assembly then, did not really define that line of responsibility and authority between NCAA and FAN, all right, in terms of licensing of our airports, which then had created a lot of problems, whereby authority of Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, are the custodians of the airports. So they strongly believe that, look, we should license the airport. But under ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, the responsibility should fall on the nation's Civil Aviation Authority, which is our own NCAA here. To that extent, I think in 2009, our late president was even forced to give the president of America, then Bush, a letter of authority that the airport, all those abnormalities in our Nigerian Civil Aviation regulation
Regulations.
will be amended. Because it was seen that no airport in Nigeria was licensed.
Okay.
Why is when ICAO came for auditing, NCA could not produce any license
Okay, now talking
for
about
the airports other than regulations
Okay.
as regards airworthiness and training.
And training.
All right, looking at this particular new one, does it address these issues you just mentioned?
Basically because it has talked about responsibilities.
Yes.
Do you understand? Aviation authorities' responsibilities. You know, in aviation we have NAMA, Nigerian Airspace Management
Airspace,
Authority.
all of that.
You have FAN. You have NCE. You have
NACO, I think. Okay.
NACO, Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, and then SACOR, Nigerian Aviation. Sky Power Handling Company. They are, all those ones are service providers.
Okay.
Service providers are different from all those ones. Now, the issue is, based on what they have said, I want to believe that they will have seen all those lapses. Again, they were now talking about legal framework. I read about where they were talking about legal framework and all that, especially in the areas of protecting the interest of customers in terms of delays. In terms of delays, because in a better climate, if there's going to be a cancellation of any flight, a passenger must have known, they must have informed that passenger for nothing less than, mark you, 24 hours before that cancellation. But to what extent are we experiencing that here? Yeah. You will be at the airport, a flight for 8 o'clock, they will be telling you, look, this flight will be postponed to 10 o'clock. You say, okay, yeah, I can see. You will now call, wherever you are flying to for your meeting. Okay, don't worry, my flight has been rescheduled for 10 o'clock. Please still hold on. 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock. At the end of the day, the flight will be cancelled. So, who bears, I mean, it gives you a lot of psychological stress, which can affect the state of your health, and which can also cost you billions of naira. So where do we go from there? So I hope this particular bill will also address that. Okay,
before we delve into issues of consumer protection rights and all within the bill, let's look at the bill. The chairman of the Senate on the committee, Smart Ademi, talked about responsibilities, talked about legal framework, as you've said. Now let's bring it back to the issue that happened just barely 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Between the Nigerian Customs and FAN, where there were talks of FAN shutting some areas, restricting customs officials to some areas, and you had the official Twitter handle of the Nigerian Customs accusing FAN of probably aiding smugglers, talking about if it was a smuggling road and all. Now, the clash, probably as a result of no clear-cut responsibilities, between both bodies and how they can, relate or work in terms of synergy. Do you think going forward that the legal framework and the responsibilities in the bill will address all of these issues?
Two things here. Responsibility and sincerity of purpose. Responsibilities. And here, in this my Bible of aviation safety in Nigeria, I thought about that. Sincerity of purpose goes a long way. And after reading this news yesterday, I was also looking at sincerity of purpose, because we have seen it several times in this country. Even privatization, just not privatization, whereby we say, okay, we've got to privatize this company just because some people have interest. All right. So also at the airport, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria is the custodian of the airport. It has to ensure safety of the airports based on standards being set out by NCA.
Yes.
Are you with me? Okay. Now, if FAN is saying this is a restricted area. Customs should know that it is a restricted area. But also mark you, before you can say this is also a restricted area, that's what we call, stakeholders, stakeholders meeting. And the stakeholders within the airport includes the service providers,
yes,
the customs, all those agencies, the FAN, NCA. They need to sit together and say, look, these are my areas of jurisdiction. This one too has its areas of jurisdiction.
Yes.
So, about this area for safety reasons, these are the issues. So all of you must have agreed on where each and every one should get to. For instance, at the airport, there's what we call, there's some areas whereby when you have a tag, it's yellow, another one blue, another one red. That red is all areas. It's not everybody that they give all areas. It depends on your areas of jurisdiction that determines the color of tag.
In terms of access.
In terms of access. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But we are now looking at the smuggling that the customs we're talking about. And I also want to tell you, when it comes to smuggling at the airport, it's all about connivance.
Definitely.
With those agencies. Maybe along the line, I don't know what has happened among them, but probably, because we are in Nigeria now, probably along the line there have been a kind of a missing link.
Just to chip in quickly, the customs also alleged that there were, talks of superiority tussle between the customs and the FAN.
That's how I'm saying gap in between the two. Communication gap in terms of what? That you want to smuggle and you didn't tell me? I mean, communication gap in terms of what? I have witnessed a situation. This is a true life story. A situation at the airport whereby some people want to smuggle narcotic drugs through human remain. Wow. That is a dead body. Yeah. Do you understand? And at the end of the day, a dead body is supposed to be in a casket. But this dead body was inside a sealed iron, now put inside a casket. But because those people were vigilant enough, they said, no, you must open this. I said, you must open this. By the time they open the casket, they now find sealed aluminum, sealed iron inside the casket. What was inside that casket? Do you understand? A lot of, we know what operates in Nigeria. So the issue is, we have to look at policies. When you look at policies, those policies are good enough. But will there be sincerity of purpose?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
And then when it now comes to responsibilities and duties and obligations at the airport, the onus of defining that rests on NCAA.
Okay, let's move away from the sister agencies now with regards to aviation and talk about the state of our aircrafts, which is still within the industry itself. More often than not, Nigerians over the years have posted videos or talked about the state of aircrafts, not just air turbulence now, but the state itself. Sometimes even prior to liftoff, on the runway and all of that. And we've seen all of these things clear out.
Conditioners.
Air conditioners not working, no oxygen masks, among other things. How does this bill address all of those? Because it's one thing to just talk about legal framework in terms of, responsibilities for sister agencies. It's another thing under the consumer, customer protection rights to ensure that you provide the best of services for people. More importantly, the safety of passengers and definitely the state of the aircraft that also goes a long way in determining the safety of passengers.
Yeah, if you read that news further yesterday, you're going to see that I talked about persons that are having licenses to operate. Persons, that means they're talking about service providers now.
Yes.
We're talking about service providers. And service providers includes airliners, those that operate airlines. You understand? Now, NCAA is the body that ICAO recognizes to be licensing. There's what we call AOL, Aircraft Operating License. It's supposed to be given by NCAA. And at the same time, NCAA is supposed to be monitoring from time to time your aircraft. NCAA is supposed to determine when your aircraft is supposed to go for different types of checks. There are different types of checks. In order not to use our time, let's leave that. But will you believe that before now, Nigerian government was having a hangar at this our airport before, whereby even people from airliners from South Africa, from Kenya, from Ethiopia, from Saudi Arabia, they come down there to do their sea check.
So what?
Yeah. What has happened to it now? It's been sold out.
Still the maintenance culture or what?
No, greed. The greed that has not been allowing our national grid to work.
Don't leave me.
I know, right? How exactly? It feels like.
Do you understand?
It feels like for every conversation in Nigeria, it still boils down to greed.
Greed.
How can this greed be? Can it ever be?
Can you imagine Nigerian government having how many fleets in 1979? I say I have pictures on my phone. Sometimes when I look at those Boeing 747 that Nigeria was having, and because of greed, we sold them off. And then they will now use it to start their own airline. Where are those airlines now? Moribund. Because ilé tá bá fi tọ́mọ èrè ló máa ń wo.
Can you say that in English?
When you put something together out of insincerity also will break it down.
Okay. All right.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, the licensing of aircraft, the way aircraft is being maintained, the way airliners operate, they are supposed to be under the purview of NCAA.
Okay.
Even before your aircraft takes off, immediately your aircraft lands at any airport in Nigeria,
sure,
NCAA staff is supposed to be on ground to check.
Are you saying
and then to find out whether this one can fly or not. I remember a scenario that led into a serious crash in this country. Investigation revealed that NCAA told those people that this thing cannot fly.
That wasn't airworthy.
It's not. Even their engineer said the same thing. But because they were looking for money, they are doing business, they got to fly. It's okay, don't worry, I will manage it.
How do you get to fly? I mean,
we will manage it.
So the
question now is, why is such a thing not happening elsewhere?
Now, the question
because
they
have government backing, and then they always give them buffers. Okay, but here, what do we see? Every now and then, increases in aviation fuel. Every now and then, it's one tax or the other. So people that has also invested their money in business, they also want to make gain. So where do we go from there? How do we balance it?
All right.
You preempted my next question, which is the issue of, high prices for flying for passengers. There have been complaints over time that these, prices are just being increased without, indiscriminately. Let's just put it that way. Now, the issue of price control system within the aviation, how do we, ensure that passengers are not exploited and airlines do not just...
Passengers will always be exploited in as much as there is what we call settlement within our system. Let us leave it at that.
What is that settlement? Yes.
Anyhow we look at it,
okay,
passengers will always be exploited because of the issue of settlements within the system.
Okay, now
are you aware? Okay. Are you aware that the distance from Lagos to London and Accra to London virtually the same? But then go and look at the fare. Go and look at the fare discrepancies. So for you to be able to understand the discrepancies in the fare of Lagos to UK and then Accra to UK, you got to invite the Minister of Aviation and ask him. Minister of Aviation in Nigeria, ask him questions. Okay. Minister of Aviation in Accra, Ghana, ask him. Then we now the viewers will now be able to know what exactly is happening.
Can I?
Okay, yes.
Very quickly, sir, you've outlined or highlighted a lot of challenges and all of these. Now, these challenges, which of them do you hope that this particular bill will be able to address squarely? Well,
I will not be able to know which one is going to address clearly because I have not read the bill. One. Two, until I know their motives. You know, I thought about sincerity of purpose. There's no doubt about it. In the past 10 years, there have been some little improvements.
Okay.
Little improvement. Even though we're supposed to have moved far than this. Okay. But at least we have been seeing little improvement. And while we're also seeing that, we're also trying to evaluate sincerity of purpose on certain things. You remember when we said we wanted to start here in Nigeria, and then the minister went to UK to go and launch it. Is that sincerity of purpose? You are launching an airline, no website, no office. You have not even gotten the people that will be shareholders. So why were you doing that? Are we talking about self or what? So I mean, big question on that. So on this particular bill, yes, it's supposed to address A, B, C, D, but do we have sincerity of purpose there? To what extent are you also looking inwards as per problems, challenges of contemporary aviation industry in Nigeria for you to come up with all that?
Okay, Dr. Daya, let's wrap up the show quickly with this question. You talked about Nigerian Air, which, I mean, we were expecting, but it got postponed at some point. Well, let's put it as we were expecting. At what
dead on arrival. I said it. Exactly. I said it on a program they invited me that day. I said, please don't let us waste time in discussing this. It is dead on arrival.
But quickly. At what point do you think we will have, an official airline or a national carrier?
At a point whereby we have a purposeful leader in this country that is ready to do things accordingly and that has that mentality for a developing Nigeria, then you see every other thing falling in place. That's
a lot of power given to the leaders. What happened to the people? Isn't there a way we can ensure that things work?
When such a leader wants to do that, he will do it with the people. Because without doing it with the people, he cannot achieve anything. He will call professionals to advise. Or when you're talking of a leader, it's not like an Oba. An Oba is not the most brilliant person, but Oba will sit down. He will say, Otun, kilo wisi kini. I will interpret. He will get different perspectives. Then put them together.
We'll have to
and then dish out.
At this point. Thank you so much, sir. Well, you'll be joining us for the social media buzz anyway. You want to launch that?
Yes, thank you very much. That's been the discussion of the day. We'll go on a very short break. When we return, it will be time for social media buzz. Please stay tuned.
All right, for the social media buzz right now, Governor Dapo Abiodun rewards OU's best graduating students with a job offer and Okay, OOU's best graduating students with a job offer and 1 million naira each in Ogun State. And then we have this. I made an offer of employment to the overall best graduating students, Miss Awolumate, I like the name, at DBC, and Mr. Ilo Kapita at the 30th and 31st convocation ceremony of the Olabisi Onabanjo University Agawe and all that. The graduates were further encouraged with a cash prize of 1 million, which I already said. And then we have riders. This person, Ita Matthew, says, at least this is encouraging enough, better than handshake every year. Okay.
The handshake of a thing is it's been a recurring motif over the years that has been criticized. So it's good that, you know, there's a difference. And you have to give credit to Governor Dapa Abiodun.
At least for the first time, I'm giving him...
He has been doing it for a while.
For credit, even though I'm still going to knock him because of the roles that he has not been doing in the
Because I remember vividly that in 2019, when he came on board, he gave the Teacher of the Year a house. He also gave, you know, the best entertainer, Lekon, a house as well, and you know,
that's what we call human capital
just
development.
based on what you said, another person here, Antonia, says, okay, maybe if you repair Songo and Agbado Road, students there will also do well.
Yes.
Nonsense and ingredients.
The Lagos Abeokuta Expressway is a federal road.
That is a different ballgame. But when you're looking at
Alagbole,
Akute, Ajuwon,
down
to Songo and all that, all those roads. I even told them at that time, even though he was not the one in government then, doing that bridge at Alagbole, I said, we don't need no bridge there. All you need to do is a big roundabout that enters that Unity Estate, then that bridge, expand the bridge. That money spent on that bridge alone will have sorted a lot of things. But they will never listen to you.
More here. Election is coming, but congrats to them. Benefits what you can. And Nene_George says, way to go, encourage and support intellect. Well, that's what we have.
But it's not because of the elections that
definitely.
I
mean, that was just her.
No, don't say so.
No, why
but we have been seeing it.
He's been doing something like that before.
But he has been doing that since he came on board. As I said, he gave the Teacher of the Year in 2020 a house. When Lekon won Big Brother as well, he gave him a chieftaincy, a position within, you know, I think youth ambassador.
It's good enough. It's good enough as he's putting his emphasis on human capital development. Yes. It's good enough, but then let him also come and to the roads and then ensure that economic activities picks up.
Okay,
yes,
thank you so much. So I think, I mean, two things here, the roads, and I think it's very important. It's very important. Okay, so we'll wrap up the show with this quote that says, nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health, but has left it to us to put these pieces together. Definitely, we don't need to be spoon-fed all the time. We have these things, we should think and bring about what we want to see with that which is available. And that's by Diane McLaren. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. And
I'm Samson Lady. Thank you so much for watching. Do have a wonderful day.
Bye for now.